Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back. We are here once again for another EUROBOWL 2025 Hungary post-tournament review, and I'm joined today by representatives of Team England with captains Wulfyn and the Euro Open captain GreenskinPhil. Thank you very much for coming.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. I should point out Pete W, the Open captain, before he has a go at me. Thank you for the promotion.
Yeah, we had a lot of captains because Chris, you were vice captain of the whole team as well as playing in the European, but technically Pete was captain, even though I was doing some of the captainy things. So yeah, we had lots of leaders, I think.
Well, I sure hope that it wasn't the top brass were too busy arguing with one another and getting in the way of the actual Blood Bowl.
Never that. There's too much fun to be had for arguments, definitely.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm glad to hear that you guys had fun. I mean, EuroBowl seems to always be a good occasion. Like, don't think I've ever come across anyone who's had a negative EuroBowl experience so far, which is like great.
Yeah, they've all been incredible. I think my third tournament ever, I was playing in EuroBowl for a Pirates team. That's when it was in Belgium, and if there was ever a way to get a taste of this sort of Blood Bowl, it's drinking Belgian beer whilst playing, in the EuroBowl itself. So yeah, I've been hooked for a decade.
Yeah, I mean, for my part, my first experience was Greece last year, so I'm relatively new to certainly the larger bits, but I'm absolutely hooked. I mean, I've spent the best part of 2 years now traveling Europe, just purely because of the experiences that you get at tournaments like this. It's not only eye-opening, but really gives you the appetite for more. Definitely.
Yeah, and that's definitely what we're hoping for. EuroBowl has been increasing the number of teams with newcomer teams for a bit now, and hopefully that continues. Hopefully, like these sorts of events will draw in people who will feel inspired to perhaps, like, if their nation doesn't have a very active Blood Bowl scene, or it's a small Blood Bowl scene, maybe they get the inspiration from here to start working on growing it, and perhaps one day also competing in EuroBowl. And it's always good to hear great stories about the games and the people at EuroBowl. And like, I think it really brings in, like, having that sort of special event like EuroBowl is very good, I think, for the hobby as a whole.
Definitely, you make friends for life as well. One of the guys I was playing in that first EuroBowl on the Paris team is a guy called Italian guy called Boulder. And I hadn't seen him for several years, and then bumped into him at the Chilean Team Cup earlier this year. And even though we probably hadn't seen each other for 5, 6 years, you start talking like you see and talk every week. And there are thousands of those stories. So yeah, it's not just it's the community as well, right? It's not just the actual gaming; it's the community as well. And yeah, the bigger the tournaments get, the more people we meet. And you only need 5 players to start a new national team, because you can include 3 freebooters as well.
Is it 3 or is it 2? I think it might be 2 freebooters.
You're allowed 3, but you can only go for hosting rights.
That was the distinction. That was
That's the distinction.
Yeah. No, I remember. Yeah, I remember that being a topic at one point. But yeah, no, fair enough. But yeah, no, there were some, like, for example, I interviewed the captain of Team Slovenia, for example, and they had a freebooter in the team to make the necessary players. And I think that's a very good practice to have, rather than like trying to strictly force that everybody has to be eligible to be from that nation, right?
Yeah, completely agree. And all you need is a European team plus one more person, and you can start a EuroBowl team. So
yeah,
if you're a bit worried about it, you can always go for the European the first year, find out what it's all about, and then go for a EuroBowl team the next.
Yep.
got to add, I know we played Slovenia, so I'm sure they'll touch on it at some point. But their level of swag, considering their first EuroBowl, was off the charts. Amazing shirts, amazing dyes. I think everybody was falling over themselves to try and swap shirts at the end.
Everyone in Team England wanted a Slovenian shirt. Absolutely right.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear it, and I again, one of those things that I do like about the community as a whole is again, like, those sort of, like, nobody's taking it easy on a team that's coming in, for the first time in EuroBowl, which is how it should be, because it is, at the end of the day, I feel it's probably the most competitive, if not at least one of the most competitive, like, Blood Bowl events that there will be in a year, right? So nobody's giving slack because you are a newcomer coming in, but everybody's also very friendly. Like, there's not gonna be, like, everybody's holding to the highest standard of, like, sportsmanship and gamesmanship in like at the tournament. So, like, it's guaranteed to be a good time, I feel.
Yeah, it's one of the things I really love about the community that you see in one or two other gaming groups, but it's certainly not universal in gaming. Is in Blood Bowl, I find that the higher the level of competition, like, the nicer people get, which you don't associate with a lot of games, especially some from Games Workshop that we know about, where we've all heard the stories. But in Blood Bowl, it's like you just pile all your thought processes onto the board, and then you buy a beer with your opponent afterwards, and it's just fantastic.
We have Myth Spores. Is that how it's supposed? He's in the chat.
It certainly is.
Yeah, and
she. Yeah.
She, yeah, fair enough. And she agrees.
Maria, yes.
Myth Spores gave up not only, like, her whole weekend coming with us and being the official Team England media director, I guess is the right way to describe her, but also weeks and weeks on the run up, did a lot for the community and helping us to build it this year. Has just been a really good spokesperson, has helped being a good sort of person giving us advice, we couldn't thank her more for all the effort she's put in this year.
All right, I'll be honest. This is this is the first time I've heard of a media expert, I guess, I should, like, in reference to a Blood Bowl team. So, like, I can just, like, sort of, I can visualize the distance between, like, the Team Finland and, like, what we do and what we, like, the sort of people that we bring into EuroBowl, and then Team England over there has a media expert with them. I mean, I do have to ask now, like, is she also, like, is she, like, putting you through, like, the swimsuit calendar, like, photographs? Is that also part of her gig in like making sure every teammate, like, gets their favorite month or whatever?
So she's I don't think she'll go quite that far, but she is.
Yeah, that's next year's plan.
Yeah, maybe that's next year. We'll raise some money, some beer money for Poland.
That's
she's a technically good illustrator, so she's been doing a lot of kind of illustrations of the team. And I think it's hard enough to get us just to appear in front of a camera phone for 30 seconds to give an update. So yeah, I don't think she'll. Well, okay. Apparently in chat, she's all in for this. So that's a very unfortunate suggestion you've made there.
I'm just saying, like, I've been, like, not to try and bloat the English team support staff or anything, but I have to assume that you also have a personal stylist at this point, like, just for this. Or...
That's it, yeah. The only reason I didn't do more interviews is it was taking too long to do the hair and makeup.
Yeah, it is. The things we do to appear good.
That's right.
Yeah, the things we do for aesthetics.
But just like just like this, Alessis, right? I think we are the lucky ones that got to travel to Budapest and spend our time out there this year. The English Blood Bowl community, we were very proud to have nearly 100 from England, but close to 150 from the British Isles travel out to Budapest. We're a big community, and it's great to be able to share what we've actually been up to while we're wearing the shirt to try and obviously represent our community there. And Maria Mespors has been integral in that, definitely.
And that sort of like obviously with I feel that with the bigger countries and like England, France, Spain, in like for European countries and the US, like who have the largest amount of like active Blood Bowl players like in NAF and all, like this sort of like this community, like just how large scale it is when like even though it like Blood Bowl is still a very niche hobby, right? Like it's not like a mainstream hobby at all. Like it's still like it's still very heartening to see like just how many people and just how much like people are passionate about things.
Yeah, and I think one of the testaments to that is that the game is so good, people have played it and keep playing it for a long time. So you don't have the same turnover that maybe some other games do, and you have that opportunity to form those friendships. And like the World Cup at Alicante, for example, you know, you're just walking down the street and you see people you haven't seen for years, and everyone's just so open and friendly. So we're really glad, like some of us that have maybe been traveling from the English and British communities for a bit longer. In the past, a decade ago, there wasn't so many people doing it, but now there are loads, and it's absolutely fantastic to see.
Yeah, there's a even like just as a like there's a Finnish Finnish nationals are coming up at the start of next month, and I saw that there were several English and at least one Welshman also attending. So like that like 10 years ago, like that was like completely unheard of. I feel like in like I couldn't imagine like a tournament in Finland, which is I believe we're up to 74 now for the nationals, like, and then you know several like there's also at least like a couple of Spaniards and a German and obviously some Swedes because they're right across the pond, right? But like like you know we wouldn't expect like 10 years ago a person from beyond the Nordics to come to like a Blood Bowl tournament in Finland, and it's just it just you know it inspires, I feel.
Definitely, it's one of the things we like to do is try and find somewhere we've not been before. And well, Chris will talk about. I mean, Torquemada's probably done about 50% of the English travel this year by himself. But Chris's team, Tactics and Theatrics, are one of the sort of the hot new teams that have come out, and they're playing a lot of overseas team tournaments and doing really well.
And this is it. I think on top of obviously a community which has expanded and has loved travel, you've got I've been playing for literally 3.5 years, so I think the amount of travel after the first international one, which was Alicante, has been, I don't know, 11 countries and close to 20 tournaments at this point abroad because of the welcome that we've received everywhere. Tillian Team Cup in Italy, Lutece in France, Bilbao in Spain. It's everyone that you go to it increases your enjoyment of the crazy people that play this game, and it's great to see. Like I say, there was a lovely flavour all weekend, I think, between the Bowl and the Open this year. Long may it continue.
We've got BB Jock in the Scottish captain in the chat as well, saying a Miracle Cup next year.
Yes, indeed. Me and him are travelling to Detroit, Michigan to play out there. So looking forward to that a lot. I spent quite a lot of time in the Midwest America growing up, yet to play an American. So if I have to go all the way to Detroit to do it, Hopefully that guarantees me at least a game, right?
It would certainly be a tale if you go all the way over there and yet somehow miss all of the US players.
We played 2 English teams day 2 at Leicester Sydney Open on top table, so it's possible.
It's the worst thing, isn't it? You go all the way to another country, like round 1, you're playing against some guy who lives 30 minutes down the road from you, and you're like, why did we even bother?
But yeah, speaking of since BB Jog has reared his head in the chat, there was not sure if either of you were watching, but like G Coleman has made a proper proposal for the English team and the Irish team, in that according to him, it doesn't matter which of you 3 wins the trophy in Scotland for EuroBowl, but so long as BB Jog has to hand it to one of you 3 teams. So
I love it. Love it. Yeah, the English or a fellow Celt Watch would hurt more, Jock.
I think all local rivalry aside as well, we were all delighted for Jock to finally get hosting rights for the Scottish. He's a tournament organizer supreme with his home nations that he runs here in the UK, and I'm sure, albeit we've got to wait an extra year because of the World Cup, it'll be a hell of a party, I'm sure. Hell of a party.
And I mean, who knows? Maybe Team Scotland will in fact make all of you eat your words and lift the trophy themselves. In which case, like, I wonder who BB Chalk, like, if he's not the one handing out the trophy to Team Scotland, like, who would he want to be handing it out? Because, you know, would he go and, yes, you, the English captain, could you please hand me over this trophy that we just won in our own tournament? Like, that would be...
Yes, he'll have a dream about that
tonight. Right, but listen, photo up. All right, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that would potentially make it even like front seat, not front row, front page news in, like, I don't know, Glasgow maybe, like if the Scottish do win it, but I suspect winning is unlikely in Glasgow for us. We'll be busy organizing next year. I'm glad that you have your excuse already ready there, Jock. Like, it's good to be prepared. For Scottish. But before we get even more sidetracked, we are here to actually talk about the EuroBowl and the European. So I think we should, get back to that. So the English team, Team England for EuroBowl, their record for the tournament was 4 wins, 1 draw, and one loss, like, on the rounds, and they managed to end up in 5th place. That's not at all, like, and considering the teams that they went up against, absolutely not a bad placement.
Yeah, I think we were, I think, satisfied, but maybe a little bit disappointed is probably the best way to sort of describe how we sort of feel looking back. We definitely felt that there was a chance to do better, but at the same time, every round was a tough fight. There was no round where I think any of us were feeling comfortable. So, whilst we would have hoped to maybe have done a little bit better, at the same time being a point off of winning it, losing to Spain, I think, is the team we've lost to the most over the years. And as we were talking about before, a draw against Denmark is not an embarrassing result at all. They're a phenomenally good team. So yeah, we were hoping to do a bit better, but we're kind of still satisfied, I think, is the best way to describe it.
And then on the Euro Open side of things, unfortunately, I do not have the raw data of how all of the, like, what kind of a rounds you managed to do, but the Team England for Euro Open won the entire thing. So congratulations on that.
It was a massive disappointment, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. I think like anything, particularly with 4-man teams, there's certainly some more variance there. We had some really tough rounds, particularly against EUROBOWL, and likes of Borpith were serious coaches, right? So we do feel like we earned it. However, it's Blood Bowl, right? So there's an element of fortune involved. Certainly, winning 6 rounds out of 6, you'd be. I'm irrational, but I'm realistic to know that we certainly, it was our weekend, I suppose, as far as Nuffle was concerned.
And we're not sure. Like maybe someone could help verify it. We think that might be the first time a team has gone 6-0 in the European.
And that is a phenomenal achievement. Even if you say that Nuffle was playing in your corner, and I very much agree that a 4-man team has much more variance than a larger team. But still, very like winning it all on a flawless record is phenomenal.
We were very, very happy. I think the 4 of us were confident going in, but yeah, I obviously to sit on top table from round 3 onwards and still manage to get over the line was it was something I'm sure the 4 of us will remember. Definitely. All
right. So, as you little bit mentioned it, but we'll just quickly go over. So, first round for the EuroBowl, Team England faced off against Australia, which is a classical matchup in several ways. Second round, you faced off against Spain. Third round was newcomer team Slovenia. Fourth round was against Greece, last year's host nation. The fifth round was against Denmark, which was last year's winner. And then sixth round, Germany, which is, not any, like, one of the, I would say, if not, like, included in the best of the best teams, then they're perhaps simply one step behind teams like France and Spain and England and the US, I think, as well. And, like, maybe just a little bit behind for now. So, as you said, none of those rounds exactly easy matchups, and Team England had to work for that 5th place.
Yeah, definitely. And then our biggest win was in round 3 against Slovenia, which was a 5-2-1 win. But even then, it was looking like it was going to be 3-4-1, and then 2 of the games swung in our favor really late on. So even our biggest win of 5-1 was not looking like a 5-1 until the final few minutes. So that shows if even it just shows you like how strong these teams are, and when even a newcomer like Slovenia can come in with a competitive team in their very first event. It's fantastic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say, like, with the first round draw of getting Australia, like, and taking a look at the matchups that you were given, what was the spirit? What were the thoughts going into day 1, round 1 for Team England?
Yeah, it was good to get Australia. I think you always want you want to avoid one of like the really big hitter teams, like the France and Spain's and Denmark's for round 1, because it's nice to get a little bit warmed up before you go into those matches. I know the argument can be made that they can get warmed up too, but I think it's quite nice to avoid one of the sort of the really big teams, Italy as well, of course. So we were feeling pleased with the draw before the redraw as well. I think the matchups were definitely in our favor. After the redraw, they definitely swung against us. Not horrifically, but not quite as kind as they were before the redraw. And yeah, with things changing, there's always a little bit of a change can be hard sometimes. I think the more veteran players adapted to it much better. I think they've seen it all before. They often don't look at the round draws beforehand. They treat it like in the event, right? Before round 2 and 3 and 5 and 6, you only know who you're playing about 5 minutes before you sort of start playing the game. So they often avoid looking at it in advance because they just kind of want to go into the game in a more neutral state. But it's nice to have the buzz, right? All the media stuff, the draw coverage beforehand. And so, yeah, I think the redraw did affect us a little bit, but not a lot.
So
yeah, I think I had the pleasure of running into a couple of the Australians on the Thursday evening out in Budapest, and they were. They travelled a ridiculous about 2 days to actually be there in the first place, which was exciting in itself. And I think they were really excited to play us, right? And that's whatever it looks like on paper. I suppose you've got to be ready to face that. Team England being blessed with the history that it has, but also the players that it has, it's going to be it's certainly one that any team that faces us would like to put on their list of wins, I guess. So no easy games, certainly.
And that's one of the ironies too, because you had some of their team traveling, like you say, for 2 days to get to this event.
Yeah.
But their captain is someone who's moved to London and plays in the ECBBL League, which myself and a few other Team England people. So it was it was strange, like, because we do have someone that's kind of our local club member at the same time as having some people that travel for 2 days. So bit weird.
Yeah, no, and
the Gumby was as excited.
Yeah, and we like I interviewed a representative of the Australian team as well in Infinite Clay, and he's currently living in the Middle East due to his job. So like we talked about like how like there were many. Like the Australian team was coming together from many corners of the globe rather than just everybody flying in from Australia. And just speaking of like the distances that some of these people like had to do just to go to a tournament is mind-boggling in the sense of like in Australia, because like my God, is it different? Like in a way, because like personally, right? I don't where I live, there's no like sort of hobby shop or anything that does really like Blood Bowl or any Games Workshop thing related. So I need to drive like an hour plus to go to tournaments if I want to go to a tabletop tournament, right? Or go play even play games, right? For some of them, like just to attend a tournament, that's gonna be like 3 hours of drive, or taking a plane from city to city to go from like Sydney to Melbourne, for example. And like the commitment for Team Australia to come to EUROBOWL to play is great.
It's amazing. I think it's the same for our American friends and our Canadian friends and so on as well, right? That they will literally traverse one side of Europe to another to play a one-day tournament. And look, I mean, we're obviously really lucky with the strength of numbers in the English community, but we are also spoilt as well, right? We can. There are multiple 1 day, 2 days in the vicinity of wherever you live in England every weekend, should you wish to play them. And I think we forget that at times in terms of the lengths that some of our international Blood Bowl friends have to go to as well. But Blood Bowlers are crazy, right?
It certainly is. But yeah, coming to the actual round against Team Australia. So we have a 2-2 draw for Team England, Skaven, going up against Dwarves. A 2-1 win for K-Forged on the Amazon team. And then we got a 0-1 loss for Necro for Thulian. We have a 2-0 win for Pro Elves and Purple Goo. And then we have 1-0 win for Jomanji. Is that supposed to be like Jumanji in as in the but yeah,
I believe so. It's Joe. Yes.
yeah, Joe. Fair enough. Win for the undead. 1-1 draw for the dwarves by Kegster. Gegster. Gegster. Yeah. A 3-3 draw for vampires and Skaven. Torquemada taking on. And then 1-1 draw for Misspell Tree against humans with the Wood Elves. Any particular match here that stood out to you guys in what you can recall?
Not really. I think everything was. There were no super shenanigans. I think in this game, the 3-3 vampire game, against Skaven is always a crazy back and forth affair. I think it's not. Yeah, it's not too often you see a 3-3 draw.
No.
In a EuroBowl game, so we're all quite delighted by that. I think when Carl told us that he'd drawn 3-3, a few other people was like, "What is that over 5 games or something?" But yeah, so that was probably the highlight from the entertainment side. But I think everything else was pretty well behaved.
Oh, fair enough. But yeah, a fairly comfortable win over Team Australia, which is, I mean, obviously you always ideally you win every round that you go into in EuroBowl. That's the dream, right? But like starting off with a comfortable win, I think is as you said, like warming up for the tournament is certainly nice. So getting that under your belt on round 1. But then we get to round 2.
Yeah,
and that looks painful against Team Spain here.
Yeah, that was. I mean, obviously, you never give up, but so basically, in my role as a non-playing captain, I had a system where I'd write down who was playing who at the beginning of the game, who was kicking and receiving, sort of jotted down my thoughts of how I thought the round was going to play out, and then I don't like to hover over people's shoulders too much because they obviously they want to get on with their own game, right? They don't need me there kind of looking at it. So I have a bit of a system where I kind of walk the boards on around sort of turn 3, 6, and half time just to sort of check on how things are going. Maybe at half time have a little chat with people. And when I did my board walk at turn 3, like already then I'm like, oh, this has gone horribly wrong. Like Joe had lost both of his mummies. I think one had regened, one was KO'd. Food had lost 6 Amazons. Gegster with his dwarfs was 2 players down. Misspelled Tree was losing elves rapidly to Borak fouls. And I think Spain really lent into the more volatile nature of this rule set.
Yeah.
And we knew that we were going to come up against good teams doing it that. We tried to pick a team ourselves that could compete against it. Going for more agile teams, Vampires, Skaven, Wood Elves, Pro Elves, teams that would have a bit of a bite back to them, like on the board, so that even if they were players down, they could do something with it. But it was kind of like, like almost immediately, I'm like, okay, we've lost 3 of these games. And then I was getting some looks from the guys because, on turn 5, I was sort of tapping people on the shoulder and saying, we really need a win here. And, as a consequence of people like Mark and, Nippy Longscar and Purple Goo, because I told them to push for wins, they then ended up losing as well when it could have been comfortable for a draw. So yeah, it all went wrong. We pushed to try and win the round, but it all backfired. And then only Torquemada with Vampires could claim anything other than a loss. I think it's not the only time. There have been times when we've never won a game in a round, but I think this might have been our worst loss.
Mm.
I think the Spanish delighted afterwards too with pointing out that Talk Carl, good friend, been living in England for ages. This is where he plays his Blood Bowl, but happens to hail from Spain as well. So as far as Spain were concerned, it was a whitewash.
Yeah, yeah, no,
They took good glee, good glee,
no,
and good luck to them too. It was their day, right?
yeah.
Oh, absolutely. When you get smashed 7-1, they can say whatever they like. You just have to take it. Yeah, they played really well. It wasn't just like, right, I know I've kind of sort of said about the volatility of it, but it's not just luck getting them into that position. Highly skilled team. We recognise them as being one of the favourites in our eyes. So it wasn't necessarily a surprise that we lost to them, but it was maybe a bit of a surprise we got hammered so badly.
Mm.
But yeah, all exceptional players. They played really well. Just wasn't our day. It was absolutely their day. Just played us off the park.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Spain. I would certainly categorize Spain as a like one of those top tier like or highest of tier or of teams when it comes to Blood Bowl, and they have such a depth of players or coaches that they can like call upon, and it seems that they are like out of the traditionally strong teams. Like I feel they play, as you said, the most sort of volatile, the most offensively minded game of Blood Bowl, like as a whole.
Yeah, they go
Yeah,
they go for the wins, and they had a similar attitude, like a different approach,
Mm.
but they had the same strategy in the Euro Bowl. That maybe I was a little bit too conservative in the Euro Bowl, but it was the Spanish approach to like let's pick teams that can just really go for wins. Like dice be damned, let's just give ourselves the tools that can just really go for the wins.
Mm.
And I think, Chris, that's the approach that we had in the European more.
yeah, this is it. And again, I think with the benefit of retrospect, over just 4 boards in the Open,
Mm.
The team selections maybe that we made at initial glance weren't particularly favoured. We didn't have Amazon, we didn't have Vampires, no Necro. But each one of those boards were able to turn games, be it either with greats like Pete W, being able to manhandle people with Black Orcs, Don's Rats, being able to obviously run up scores and take advantage of opportunities, Elven Union, and obviously the same for my frogs. The Slan are a tricky customer if they stay around, and that certainly worked in a 4. I think it's tougher in an 8, right? And I think when you look through the actual end stats here on Tour Play for teams, I would say our builds were probably closest to the French, I guess, as far as actually having stable teams. They had an awful lot of elves there. The French took an awful lot of casualties too, but they did manage with the extra agency that they had to obviously get over the line and take the bowl away. But certainly in the lead up, if you look at Spain, if you look at Denmark, some of their races as well, some of these really interesting rosters, if they fire, it can be an absolute snowballing, and I think that's what happened this round here, definitely.
Right. With that, so win and a loss going into round 3, and as you said, like I feel as you mentioned before that you guys have more veteran coaches certainly, and I feel that's one of those key like experience and veterancy matters a lot when you get a result like you did against Spain in round 2, because like that sort of a hammering can break the morale of a team, and then you're just gonna play worse, and it's just gonna spiral from there.
Yeah, I was really proud of the team in how resolute they were afterwards. We're not the most emotional of characters. I would say as a team, not super our culture. But certainly amongst the team, there were a couple of people that were maybe I would say they felt they let the team down, which is stupid, right? When you've lost 7 games, no one's let the team down. But obviously, some people are feeling bad. But everyone else kind of rallied around them, was really encouraging. I think it helped for us as well that lunch was after the second game, so we had a bit longer to sort of have a bit of a chat about it. I've won a Euro Bowl before with a 4-1-1 record. It can be done. So we knew that, we were still in with a chance, even though it was a very long shot. And I was just really pleased with the way that, no one fell to pieces. No one was throwing caution to the wind. Everyone just understood, okay, now we've got a really uphill climb. We just have to keep climbing as hard as we can, take every turn as it goes, not give up. So yeah, I was really proud of everyone for how much they dug in. Especially given the size of the loss.
Right.
I think the spirit was great within the 12 of us all weekend, right? If you include the Open 4 or 14, right? If with Dan and Maria there as well. And I mean, having been in, might have only played Blood Bowl for 3 years, but I've been in plenty of competitive situations. The strength of a team shows under adversity, and like Dan says, I think really proud of the guys here of how they took that disappointment and put it behind them next play immediately. Because look, you've still got a tournament potentially to win here, and you don't do that by crying over something which happened half an hour ago. You've got to refocus the mind and get back at it, and that's what Slovenia faced, unfortunately.
I have also generally found that a warm meal in the belly does tend to make one feel better as well. So, yeah, lunch can save a day.
You're finished. Surely it's 3 beers at the bar.
Hey, I mean, who says that there isn't a beer at the table as well? Like, but yeah, I mean, liquid courage is liquid courage for a reason. But yeah, Slovenia round 3, newcomer to the scene versus one of the old greats. That old greats makes it sound like your glory has passed, which is not the implication I want to make.
Well, maybe we're trying to get it back again.
But yeah, this one went decidedly in favor of Team England with a 3-1 win for the Vampires, 1-1 draw for Pro Elves, 2-1 win for the Undead, 2-1 win for Amazons, 2-1 win for Dwarves, 0-2 loss for the Skaven, but then 2-0 win for Wood Elves and a 1-1 draw for Necro. Fairly dominant win here for Team England.
Yeah, although as I was saying before, I think it was definitely Foods Amazons and one other team, I can't remember which one, which were looking like a draw for a long time, and then fairly late got the win. So yeah, we were kind of, for a long time I was thinking this will be a 3-1 like Australia was, which was a very satisfactory result because if we'd lost that round, I think there would have been some very glum faces, including my own, on the Saturday night. But so we were very satisfied with a 3-1 win. But then we kind of got the icing on the cake with 2 late games swinging in our favour. So I think the final scoreline probably flatters us a little bit. I thought Slovenia played really well. One of the great things I can do, of course, is actually watch some of the games being played. And yeah, there was no one there that I was like, oh, wow, we've absolutely, this is a walkover. I thought they all played really well.
Yeah, it was important the way that the tournament was set up, particularly with the disappointment in the previous round as well. The first tiebreaker was coach points. So if you did have the opportunity to, like Dan says, swing a couple of those round late, then potentially with an eye to day 2 and still remaining positive that we were in this here, right? A resounding victory in round 3 certainly set us up well as far as the first tiebreaker would be concerned as well. So again, you've got to have the round play out your way, but really proud of the way the guys responded there, definitely.
And it was a conscious decision I made at the beginning of that round as well, because I definitely had a few people sort of right at the beginning saying things like, oh, what should I go for here? And I was just like, you're better than this person. Like, whether you actually believe you're better than the person, you're not trying to be modest at this point, right? You're trying to G up your team. You're basically saying, look, you're better than this guy. Go for it. You can win this. Like, I've got every confidence in you. Play your own game. You don't need orders from me at the beginning of the game. You're good enough. Just go and win. Like, get at them. And I thought that was an important message for me to give at the beginning of that round, to sort of let everyone know that I still had full confidence in them, and that they still had every chance of doing something.
Yeah, and I mean, it certainly, like, I feel that's sort of a messaging from the captain is important, because, like, especially for the people, as you said, like, who were feeling that they let down the team in the previous round. For them especially, like, I think it's a much better message to tell them that, like, that, rather than being like maybe a more cautious captain would have said that, like, just go for the guaranteed, like, draw that you can surely get, because, like, that I think could have, I mean, for some that could come across as like you having lost confidence in them, and that would just make them play worse, probably. So I think that you did the correct choice, or, well, as a captain, if I was there, would have essentially given out the same message rather than the more cautious one, I think.
And then, of course, over on the open side, we had EUROBOWL. So, yeah, Chris, how was playing Clemento?
I played Borpeth. I played Borpeth. Jose.
Sorry.
Yeah, I played Borpeth. But yeah, I mean, we had a great day. We'd played a lovely German team in the first round, Stuttgart. Pretty comfortable, albeit very jovial game there. Played Bordeaux Blood Bowl in the second round. Obviously, a group of accomplished French coaches definitely knew what they were doing. That was a tighter round. Required a couple of results to be held down the stretch to make sure. But yeah, we were rewarded round 3 with, I suppose, the favourites for the European, at least on paper, in EUROBOWL. Borpeth, hell of a coach, right? These guys have won multiple Europans, Euros together. They were missing Simon ACP, however, who got stopped at the border the night before, because tried to travel across on a train, I think because of passport issues, and wasn't allowed in. But their replacement was one of the proper young guns from the German scene, who no doubt will be on the bowl team, if not next year, in the future. So we knew we had our work cut out, definitely, and the round was tight. I think Pete had managed fairly early to cause some attrition on his opponent, but Blackhawks being Blackhawks, you need everything to hold in place. Don had ratted his way past the young German fella early as well, as a quick player. But Jose was up against it against Clemento. I think he'd actually scored on his drive, but then lost 7 elves in the space of 2 turns. So he was literally trying to hold on. And myself, Borpeth did manage to get in an 8, and it was literally coming down to, we had a win on the rat table, ultimately a loss in the Amazon Union matchup. Pete had managed to snuck through, so I think I was the last game to finish, and was literally holding on for dear life against Borpeth Undead. We were dancing around, we were hopping over things, doing whatever slam bullshit that we possibly could to make sure that we held for the 8 turns as far as the drive was concerned. Because a player like that, you just can't give 2 turns to. And thankfully, Nuffle was with the Frogs. We managed to get there, so we eked the round. I think in the end. On literally the last board. But we're delighted to get a chance to play those guys. Had 3 great opponents the first day, but that was certainly a heck of a way to finish. And yeah, it was on table 1 for that one, so we knew where we were going to start day 2. Definitely.
And I'm sure that you know, hearing those good news coming in from your side will give renewed confidence and spirit to the national team as well. On
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, right? I think, I mean, again, these guys have been in lots of different situations before. This is not the first time they've faced adversity, but with things going well as it did against Slovenia in the last round, and certainly as it had for the European for the first day, I don't think anyone thought we were out of it to start. Definitely not. It was a good positive vibe after a bit of disappointment just before lunch. Certainly.
Right. Yeah, it definitely made it made a really big difference on the Saturday night. Because we'd already, we'd always worked as a 12. There was no sort of, other than actually which tournament you were playing in in terms of an 8-4 split. In terms of everything else, it was always a 12. We did everything as a 12. Our training day was as a 12. Our meal out on the Friday night was as a 12. It was always intended that we would be one group going for 2 competitions, and I thought that was really important to show that there was just 2 competitions. Like in my mind, it was important to compete for both. I've been a fan of the European for a long time. Back in 2018, I was the first person to suggest that Team England should have a European team, copying what the French were doing. I think the French had won it in 2016 as well with their national European team. And so it was something that we were really pushing for. We absolutely wanted to win both. And I think some of that spirit really, because we had the training days where it was a bigger group, there was no divide. And so the guys in the bowl, sort of seeing how well the open guys were doing, it did put an extra spring in our step for sure.
And I mean, especially
it really helped as well.
And
I think if you look at the roster on the open side as well, you've got ex-England captains in Pete W. You've got 2 other experienced EUROBOWL players in both Jose El Planet and Don Vito, and obviously a Froggy tag along for the ride as well. but we had a confident setup there. There was certainly. There was some quality there that obviously could quite easily have played up in the bowl if we needed, and thankfully, because we were a squad throughout, we did have some chopping and changing that needed to be the case at certain points as well, right? So it was good.
Because we created the bigger squad, we'd had a lot. We'd done the England Virtual Grand Tour as a group. We'd had the Christmas Bash before that with more people in as a group, and it really helped in that way. And as a captain, right, I'm spoilt for choice. We're getting such a deep roster of really skilled people. It was very hard to have some conversations with people to let them know that they'd missed out. Chris was absolutely picked on merits, as anyone else was. He's been doing a lot with the frogs. He was trying to talk me around to getting the frogs in the 8 with food, which food was obviously delighted by the idea of, but I was like, no food, Amazon, I need you on Amazon. And so when we had a dropout, it was a very easy decision for me to say, well, you're absolutely there on merit, straight in the team. And a lot of unkind things were said about certain people in the squad, and some unkind things were said about some of the rosters that were picked. But we always believed in ourselves, and it was just absolutely fantastic to see how well the open team were doing on the Saturday night. Really put a spring in our step, as I said.
And I mean, I imagine that it was even more extra spirit lifting when round 3 the open team managed to defeat you know, the front runner essentially for Europe as like
Yeah. And another little thing as well was, as you know, because when I was doing the whole kind of walking the board thing, I would spend a lot of time with the European team as well, because the round would start 50 minutes late, so it gave me a good opportunity to, you know, go and see them sort of immediately after I seen the bowl guys, just on timing. And in many ways, I actually interacted more with the Open team over the course of the weekend. There was a few more things that they sort of needed help with, at various points. But it gave me a good opportunity to kind of have a bit of a look around. And the English, I think at one point, what was it, Chris? We had you guys on table one. We had people on table three. So we had like Tackle Zone, which is kind of the club team on something like three. We had the Hackflem guys on four. We had some other guys on six.
Water Bowl up there as well.
I think we had Water Bowl was on six. Yeah.
Round three to end the first day. Out of the top 10 tables, 5 were English. Which, look, as I said before, right? We are a huge community. We travel in numbers, right? But it's really, really good to see that much of our community getting to enjoy such an event like this. And look, we're getting to day 2. I'm sure we had the pleasure against some of our countrymen twice in day 2 on the way through. So, but yeah, no, really good advert for English Blood Bowl and the strength that we've got, at least.
Right. Speaking of day 2, we're moving on to round 4 for the EuroBowl team. Team England goes up against Team Greece, the host nation for the last one. What were your thoughts going up at the start of day 2?
Very similar, I think, to just after the Spain loss. That we felt that in beating Slovenia, we were, it was like we needed to win 4 games, basically, after the Spanish loss. And so we felt, okay, 25% of the job has been done. Let's not slip up now. Again, very determined players, very focused. Let's just get the job done. So it was a real just determination. Let's just keep going. Let's not have slip ups like we've had in some previous years. Let's just go out there, just get the job done.
And what about the Euro Open side? I assume, having won your last game on table 1, staying at table 1, it must have been morale must have been high.
It was. We knew overnight that we were going to face Tackle Zone, which is a team that the England captain Dan Wulfyn started. It also has one of our fellow England committee members, D for Dan, on the team. Ex-England players in the rake who I played on Sunday morning as well. So yeah, we knew we were going to have a tough test. However, look, we're there for a reason, right? We're wearing the English shirt in the Open for a reason that year. So I'd be lying if I said we weren't going in there hoping to do well. But it turned out to be a pretty tough round. As we'll get to, definitely.
Yeah, it was awful for me because I had such split loyalties. Because I'm like, okay, obviously I want Team England to win, right? That's my job. That's what I'm there for. But there were so many moments where, like, D for Dan, for example, would have a really good roll and do something unexpected, and I was like, yeah, Dan, go. Oh no, hang on, no, that's bad. That's bad. Don't do that. Yeah, it was great to see like everyone there together, but yeah, it was hard on the heart.
Definitely. I know as far as some of the racial matchups here in the bowl, the guys have obviously had a look at that the evening before when we were kind of coming together and doing. I think we felt fairly good on the majority of the racial matchups as well. And obviously, yes, that's how the round played out here against Greece. But I think we'd be lying to say again this was a comfortable round. The Greeks came to play. They put our guys under an awful lot of pressure. I think at times as well. But yeah, we got some good points on the board here, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Looking at like just judging by the score lines and taking a little bit of a look of like these are not the scores of anyone getting walked all over. Like when the biggest win is a 2-0 and that's Wood Elf like out essentially what I assume outrunning the dwarves. That like yeah, it's it talks to even with Team Greece maybe not one of those teams that's considered like the strongest of contenders with like from a historical perspective, like then they still put up a fight, like at least even by if we just judge by the tour play like numbers that are seen here.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say. I mean, there were still losses on the card here too, right? I mean, Core obviously is one of the best players in the world, and Chaos Dwarves maybe not particularly fancied in the English Blood Bowl bit, but yeah, that's a hell of a result there for that guy, definitely.
For EUROBOWL, yeah. I mean, Chaos Wars not being particularly popular in the tournament, and from like it certainly don't seem to be popular in Finland either. Like I think most people were, I would say, mildly disappointed when the new Chaos Dwarves came out. In that, like they strictly speaking, they were just considered worse. And unfortunately, the thing that they tried to do, which is with the specialists now in with the Staba and the Flamesmiths, I believe they're called. Like they wanted to give more variety to the Chaos Dwarf team, to make them feel play less like more differently than dwarves, I guess. And it just like in on top of like just making the baseline team worse, it I just don't feel anyone was particularly excited about them. So yeah, like Chaos Dwarf versus Amazon doesn't strike me as a very Chaos Dwarf favored matchup either. So being able to take a game off of someone as good of a coach as K-Forged is certainly no mean feat for EUROBOWL.
Yeah, this was this round was super tight. And there was also the round that I had to manage the most as a captain in terms of like, finding out what was going on, giving people instructions, things like that. So it was sort of looking okay. So I'd mark this one down as a draw. This game you're showing now. And so I was like, with better opportunities elsewhere, we had Mark, Whoopie Long Scars, Skaven was playing Lizardmen. I think that's the last game on the row.
Yep, Skaven were, yep, correct.
And so it was about turn 4 in the second half, and all the all the skinks were off the pitch. There were 2 in the KO box, 1 in reserve, and the rest were dead. And so Mark was saying, what do you think I should do here? And I'm like, well, it's looking okay. It's like it's tight, but it's looking okay elsewhere. I think you should just sort of hold on for a draw, because if all those skinks come back and you've given them sort of 2-3 turns, well, could be bad news. I don't want to throw the round just to sort of go for a win. We knew the tiebreaker was a situation, but we definitely weren't pushing for tiebreaker points. We were just trying to win the round. And then Food kind of leant over to me and said, "I've lost," like, which was really unexpected. Unfortunately, he was sat next to Mark, and Mark had just picked up his ball carrier to sort of put it in the corner on turn 6 to go for another turn. And I sort of tapped him on the shoulder and said, "No, you need to go for a win now, mate." And he's like, "Oh, right, score." Just like put it in. And fortunately, only 2 of the skinks came back, and Skaven shenanigans were had, and Mark managed to sort of pick it up and get the win. But if there was ever a story of how tight this round was, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it is like one of the strengths I feel of like Skaven in particular, but also Wood Elves, Pro Elves as a team, like in a team environment, is that you can sort of rely on them to even from a difficult position have a decent shot of scoring. So that came in. It seems to have come in really clutch here. And then being able to, Lizardman is definitely one of those teams that a lot of people were down on, like in this rule set in particular, because you just didn't get the 6 block Saurus. So
Yeah, I play lizards a lot. I wasn't so worried about the 6 block Saurus not being there because the Italian scene plays 5 block 1 tackle and have for a
mm-hmm.
long time, and I think tackle opens up a lot of possibilities. And so
Mm.
dropping block for a wrestle is not even necessarily the worst thing. Sometimes actually wrestle can be a bit more useful. So
Mm-hmm.
what I found and what I was scared, and the reason I didn't pick lizards was I was really scared about 2 rerolls, or potentially losing the apple. There's some combination there
Yeah.
that basically means you lose something, and I was really scared about the 2 rerolls because with the skinks picking up on a 3-up, we've all had games with lizards where we've basically used 3 rerolls in the first 3 turns to try and pick the ball up, and against a team like Skaven, it can be really dangerous if you don't pick the ball up.
Yeah.
And I think that's what allowed Mark to win because the lizard player had lost his last reroll.
Mm.
I think he didn't want to pick the ball up because, if it kind of bounced out the cage or something like that, it would have been too vulnerable. So they kind of bunkered around it with no rerolls, and it gave Mark the opportunity to be really aggressive into it. So, yeah, but you're not gonna. It's weird, right? A lot of the times you can look at these rosters and you can think, oh, they're terrible, but actually when you play them, they're maybe not as bad as you think.
Mm.
Um, and I'm definitely talking about all of our open. Well, maybe not Jose's one, but even on the open, even our Skaven roster got a bit of shade, I think, because it was very aggressive.
Mm.
But it just shows you in the right hands, if you go for those aggressive rosters with high speed players, you can push for those wins.
Mm.
Yeah, our round 4 in the Open is about the best example I can show for being able to have agencies as well. I think at half time against the tackle zone guys, Deeper Dam had deleted El Planet, Jose's union off the pitch, and we were already 1 board down, realistically. I mean, Jose was fighting, but awful lot could be done with it. The Skaven, after being 2-0 up, literally got carted off the pitch and it ended up in a draw. And at one point, looked very comfortable on the Black Orc board and turned around ultimately to a draw on that board. We had a win on that board. So ultimately, it was coming down to the Froggy board against the Rakes Undead, and unfortunately, he put the Frogs into bat to start off with. We were down to 5 Frogs and holding on not to get counter scored at the end of our drive, so 0-0 at half time. But Blood Bowl is Blood Bowl, and the ball wasn't picked up before it was turned over on the first turn, and suddenly the Frogs were 1-0 up. On turn 2 of the Rake's drive. You can only do that with certain races, maybe vampires, Skaven, Frogs. And it turned around. What ultimately would have probably been a drawn round and would have dropped us down the tables were turned by having some volatility in our rosters where we could turn around and make things happen. And again, with a view back to 8 boards, you don't want every roster to be that volatile. But I do think having a roster like Nippy's Skaven here, not only this weekend, but certainly was the case at Home Nations as well, Dan, where he was asked to turn things around quickly, right? And because
He was, and won
the roster can
joint
do that.
MVP, wasn't he?
He was indeed. Yeah, this is it. So I think always getting the balance right between these rosters is the tough thing, particularly with 8 choices. But you do want some ability to be able to change games there, right? And Mark certainly did some of that. I know, obviously, having One of the best, if not the best, vampire coach in the world on our roster helps in that respect as well, right? It's important to have those coaches, but in control of those rosters to be able to change rounds if it happens. Definitely.
And unless Chris is being extremely modest in his game here because again, like I said, one of the abilities of being a non-playing captain is you get to watch some of these games. He was so under pressure, and I think a less experienced or a less capable coach would still maybe push for the score because it's their drive, right? You feel like you're losing if you don't score on their drive, but the ability to recognize that chances will come in the second half. I just need to make sure I don't get turns. And the elusiveness of just, putting the ball in the right place where there was a little bit of a threat that Mike the Rake had to cover in terms of, there was still a little bit on that he couldn't commit everyone to going for the ball. He had to, screen a little bit as well. But ultimately it was all kind of faking the other person out so that he could just keep the ball safe. And then as soon as he saw the opportunity in the second half, as Mike had one round which was maybe a little bit looser than he would have liked. And you pounced. The froggies pounced.
We did indeed. But this is it, right? I mean, we've all played lots and lots of Blood Bowl, and if you've played a lot of games, I think at this point you've seen the swings in your favour and also against you as well. Right? So the one thing, particularly in tournament Blood Bowl, that you can't do is just give up on the game in the first half by allowing your opponent to counter score you because you've lost a lot of things or it didn't go your way. But if you stick with it, sometimes good things happen. Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do. We were lucky enough on Sunday morning. I think across the four boards, we just had that little bit of luck at the right time against our English compatriots. Because I think if we'd have drawn that round, it takes it out of our hands. We would have still been pretty well placed, but I think as those rounds whittle down in certainly the open side, while there were 140 teams to start off with, suddenly there's only a few which are still on 4 wins, and then by the time we get to the 5th round, we were the only actual team on 5-0. At that point, that it's in your hands to win or lose, I guess.
Yeah, certainly. Speaking of round
reward
5
after Greece, yes,
Yeah.
was was around here. So I was lucky enough to go to Copenhagen last year and play out at Hargrim's Danish Beer Bowl. So my first time of meeting a lot of the Danish team. This gentleman in particular, Madvig, I have to give a shout out. One of, if not the most active Fumble players ever. If you looked at his NAF page alone, it's impressive. But if you realise who he is on Fumble, this gentleman's a hell of a coach, hell of a coach, and that's kind of represented across the 8 which are here with Denmark. You've got a lot of experience. And they poured a lot of time, I think, into thinking about their rosters as well. Some interesting picks. So we knew it was going to be tough, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, so going over a little bit. So for the round 5 against Denmark, England team managed a 1-1 draw with the Vampires, a 2-0-2 for the Wood Elves. 1-1 draw for the Undead, 0-0 draw for the Amazons, 1-1 draw for the Pro Elves, 2-1 win for the Necro, and then 1-1 draws for both Dwarf and Skaven. No blowout games to be had here. Certainly not.
Yeah, this one. I mean, in hindsight, I think our tiebreak. Even if we had won this round and finished on 10 points, I think we would have been bottom of the 10 points on the tiebreaker because if nothing else, you can't catch Spain up on their 7-1 victory over us. But this one was a heartbreaker because I thought we'd done enough in quite a few of the games. And chatting to some of the Danish guys with about 3 rounds to go, they also thought we had it. There were basically 3 games towards the end that looked like they would probably go in our favour, and all three of them didn't. Which meant that the round was drawn, and normally you'd expect maybe two of the three. You certainly expect one of the three to go in your favour, just to sort of nick the win. Sort of nicking the win was kind of a bit of a, Spain nicking the win was kind of a bit of a mantra for us this weekend. But yeah, it was probably summed up in Gegster's game. So we'd picked him a dwarf roster that had it's a 3 Mighty Blow roster again, sort of leaning into maybe a bit of that volatility. In the first 4 rounds, I think he'd only scored 2 casualties. I think even our Wood Elf player was out casualtying him at that point. And so it even got to the point where I said to him, like, I order you to shake your dice cup 3 more times after an armor break. And it's not like they were, not getting casualties because they were all KOs. It was in the first 4 games, he was players down in almost every game. So I was delighted at the beginning of this game when I saw that he'd almost immediately put 2 into the casualty box. And I'm like, right, actually, okay, Mighty Blow's working. You're looking good here. And it was 1-0 in his favour again, right up until the last turn. And I said to him, how's it looking? And he's like, yeah. It would take some absolute BS now to draw this game. And then he drew it. So, Blood Bowl. We all love Blood Bowl. So this was a bit of a heartbreaker for us. We thought we'd just done enough to squeak through. But Denmark, they're so good. They're so experienced. They know how to fight to the end. They know how to, even if it's they know how to turn a 15% chance of scoring into a 25% chance of scoring, just to eke every little percentage out, and that's obviously what they did going into it. And so it's this was the one. Like, drawing against Denmark is not a bad result, so it didn't hurt us in the same way that Spain did, and I think we knew that it was going to be sort of one of France, Wales, or Spain that won the whole thing. So we'd sort of already realised the writing on the wall, so it didn't really hurt, but. This was the point where we knew it slipped away from us.
Yeah, and on the flip side as well, I imagine that Team Denmark had very, very similar feelings in that they were like being on the same points, and certainly a team that like, having talked to their captain previous year, like certainly a team that is hungry to get those wins under their belt, to sort of put themselves among the great teams of Blood Bowl, and like, so for them as well, I imagine it was very much the case of like, well, this was the thing, like that lost them the chance, at least this year.
I'm sure.
Absolutely, they would have been feeling exactly the same way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as well, right? I mean, while the relative sizes of the community between us and Denmark are obviously very much the disparity in our favour as far as the numbers are concerned, the Danish guys all play the same tournaments together all of the time, crisscrossing the country to the one a month that's there. So their fields are stacked, obviously, with Team Denmark every single weekend. So they're the way that they build their teams, their culture, but also obviously the quality of the coaches as a result is right up there with everyone, I think. So yeah, I'm sure they were disappointed as well. I know, having spoken to a few of our guys afterwards, they really appreciated the game. I know Talk obviously drew with Madvig on that table 1. I think that was probably one of his most favourite games of the tournament, regardless of the fact that it was a draw, because it was so nip and tuck throughout. If you look at that round, yes, it's a bunch of draws, 1-1, 0-0, and just a couple of results going either way. That's top level tournament Blood Bowl, definitely. Small margins.
Absolutely. Round 5 for
the Danish. Sorry to interrupt. The Danish roster was really interesting as well because they also had some fairly off-topic picks. In Tomb Kings was probably the most notable
Chaos
one.
Dwarfs.
Chaos
They had
Dwarfs as
Chaos
well.
Dwarfs and Wood Elves as well.
Yeah.
As well as humans, which we nearly took humans, but we switched to Elven unit at the last minute. And I think Denmark are probably the country that most consistently reads the rules and gets the right meta. I think they're the ones that are kind of like consistently, when you kind of look back and you thought, yeah, okay, Denmark, yeah, they called that. Like, I think they were the first country to realize that, everyone was saying Underworld was bad after the changes, and they said they were good. And then I think they took it to Mulcher or something, and then afterwards everyone was like, yeah, actually they're broken good. It's that level of insight. They're really good at reading the rule set. So yeah, when all the teams were picked, the Danish were kind of one of the first teams we looked at and was like, ooh, some spicy choices here. We like it.
Yeah, I think I would triple take the Danish captain that I spoke to last year is very much and several of the people in the Swedish national team also agree with my sort of assessment of him, is that he's bar none, he's one of those people who puts so much time and effort into just theory crafting, just playing out the possibilities, playing out the roster choices, the skill choices, even the smallest, and he can home in on things that people miss very well.
Absolutely agree.
But yeah, unfortunately, with this draw, as you said, it did then knock you out of the competition for the top spot, and essentially knocked you out of the competition for a podium spot as well. The English Open team was doing slightly better.
We were. Our reward for that were playing one of our European travel teams. So certainly for England, with some of the most exuberant dress and swag going, and that's Hatflem's Globetrotters. So guys we know really, really well, to the point that our coach El Planet plays for them when he's not playing for Team England. So they knew exactly who they were up against. It was going to be a great round. We knew that to start off with. I think a little bit more comfortable than the previous rounds. I know my board, it was my second vampire game with frogs, which is always all over the place because we can both take the ball off you. What was kind of right in the balance, to the point that Cornish had dice on the ball, I think, right up to a couple of turns before I scored for the winner. But the boards did play out more favourably. So again, we had early wins on the books, and I think by the time we got to 2 wins with our Planet and PW, me and Don Dave knew exactly that worst case we just had to hold the boards. So we did manage to get through, but not without some adversity, because top level coaches and oh, sorry, not all the boards. Sorry, I'm sitting Spoonio here. Apologies, not all the boards. Spoonio managed to get a draw out of Pete on the top board. Apologies. So I think it was 3-1 up, I think, in the end. But that's it. I mean, if you know the quality that Hatflem obviously have on their roster, and we've nicked one of their players to play for Team England, obviously at this point, they were still right up there, and obviously one of quite a few English teams finishing really well, which was great to see.
I did want to
5-0 at least going into the last round. So we knew at that point we were the only 5-0 team. So obviously we didn't want to be going into the last round looking at a draw. But you can't ask more after 5 rounds, right? We knew it was in our hands to see if we could get over the line or not. and at least we didn't have to face yet another English team. We drew the Polish European team, who'd actually came over to Jock's Home Nations tournament in July. So it's some rosters that we looked at that point. So was well aware what we were up against. They, like us, had kind of gone for some left field picks as far as what they were going for. Really tried to stack the variance, I think, in their favour. So we knew it wasn't going to be easy anyway. Definitely.
And I think we had to win that round as well, because there was Italian, one of their Firenze teams, on the board below us, playing the Scottish Open team, who are also doing really well. With some good friends in that team too, and two of the players, More Power, who's the captain, and there's another guy called British Dog, who I've played before. Played British Dog at Luca World Cup like 10 years previously. You know, that's sort of how far back some of these friendships in this community can go. So we knew that they were a good team. I fancied them, to either beat the Scottish Open, or imagine if the Scottish guys had won the last round and we'd drawn at leapfrog most of us. Yeah, exactly. I would have had to quit Blood Bowl, never speak to them. So we knew we had to win that round.
Yeah, and look, certainly approached it that way. As obviously the Bowl 8 did as well in the last round. So I mean, it's again kind of like day one, right? It's no doubt a bit disappointing when you know your race is run, but at that point, and particularly with a view maybe to the last couple of cycles for Team England and how we'd finished. We wanted to make sure that we finished as high up as possible, and that meant that we needed to dust ourselves off after the draw against Denmark and make sure that we were ready to go in the last round.
I do want to shout out Frikipe. I'm sorry if I if I butchered the name. Thank you for the raid. Always appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
But
hey, mate.
But yeah, I did want to come to because you did mention after the round against Spain, there were some people who felt that they had let down the team. Do you think there was any of that spirit for Team England when it came to the draw with Denmark, or was that put behind for good?
I think that was put behind. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, all I was going to say, I mean, look, we've got a wealth of coaches on the team, but one of my good friends, Liam Thulian, probably through no fault of his own, had a day one where it was tough boards wise, right? The net pro were just not staying on the pitch. And obviously fighting against adversity every single game. I think if you look at the way that certainly he responded with 3 wins on day 2, we don't take that draw even against Denmark if he doesn't manage to get us across the line with a win on his board. So there was a lot of resilience shown across the 8, I think, that weekend. And that last round, go ahead, Dan, was obviously a tight one as well, I think, right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think everyone had really dug in at that point. I kind of put my foot in it with Thulian, because I thought at the end of the first day, I thought he'd won the game, but the guy, his opponent, kind of got a late draw. So I'm like, well done, mate. You got your first day win, sort of, And he's like, it was a draw. And I'm like, because he's a very deadpan character, right? He's got a really good sense of humor. He's very deadpan with it, and the way he just said, "You've got a draw," is like, oh my god, I'm such an idiot. So yeah, I was absolutely delighted. But that just shows the resolve of this guy. If you've won the Tillian Team Cup and you were the MVP at that tournament, you've got the quality. And so it was just a case of, as soon as the dice started to go back in his favor, the wins came rolling in. I think the only people who were feeling bad on day 2 were people who had some really, really bad luck. So not to jump ahead to the next round, but in the last round, Tree had playing absolutely brilliantly, was looking like getting the win, had the ball near the corner, players down, still wriggling through, stalling it out perfectly. And the other person basically needed a 6-up dodge, a 6-up dodge, a 1-die power, and a war dancer. No chance, right? Tree just walks it in and gets the 2-1 win. No, 6-6, pow, ball out, scave and grab it, run off, and and again, it didn't make a difference. But it's just when you have that much bad luck against you to end the tournament, it really hurts. We've all been there. Yeah, it's a horrible feeling. So I think the only people in the second day that were feeling bad were the people that had like really bad luck against them. I think she'd had another time where it was something like hadn't made 11 pickups in a row or something like that. It's that sort of really bad luck can always affect any player. So it was just those normal Blood Bowl things. I think as a team there wasn't anything lingering, but yeah, heartbreaking way to end a tournament.
Certainly is. But yeah, moving on to the sixth and final round, and it's not an easy matchup going up against Team Germany as the final round for EUROBOWL. Overall, you guys did manage to clinch it in the end, but the 0-1 loss for the Vampires, a 2-0 win for the Undead, 1-1 draw for the Amazons, 2-1 win for the Pro Elves. As talked about, 1-2 loss for the Wood Elves, 3-1 win for the Necro, and then 1-2 loss for the Dwarves, and a 2-1 win for the Skaven. So again, tight games all around. Like the Necro one stands out a little bit with the 3-1 win that Thulian has managed to get it from Baki, Chaos Chosen. But was there anything in like? Do you think that there was ever a doubt, like among the coaches that that things were like? Was there ever a feeling that this round is going wrong for us, or was it always just things are on the edge, but like nobody's tipped over yet?
Yeah, I think with this one, I think it was almost the opposite of Slovenia in the sense that we felt comfortable, but rather than things going in our favor at the end and flattering us, it kind of went against us a little bit at the end. So obviously you had Tree there. Talk on Vampires was looking really good for a draw the whole way through, despite being a lot of players down. Candlejack, well, what a guy Candlejack is, absolutely manhandling his Vampire team, and I think Carl was saying he thought he was just going to about sort of wriggle through and get the draw, but then sort of latish on it was not to be. So yeah, it kind of went a bit more in that direction, and I think that the Germans, again speaking to them, felt that it was closer than maybe they thought it was. So I think this one was feeling quite comfortable. I didn't have to do nearly as much management in this one as I had certainly in the Greece game. But as you can see, right, games can swing late and super tight, as pretty much all of our rounds were.
But yeah,
I think fair to say very little between a lot of the rounds, right? I think which is great and shows the strength of the upper bowl, right? I mean, there's certainly, I think if you looked going into the weekend, of course you'd expect probably France, maybe England, Denmark, and so on, and it may be contention in that top five, but I mean the results from the likes of Wales, right, is amazing, absolutely amazing. Finland, obviously, your countrymen up there in the top 10 as well. The Swiss were stacked. But USA, I think obviously a favourite coming in as well, and
Mm.
we've got the host from last year in the top 10 as well.
Yeah.
So so it's some real strength in depth, and I think anyone taking any of these rounds for granted these days is going to come a cropper, right? Because there's a lot of good coaches playing Blood Bowl in 2025, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure that like the competitiveness of EuroBowl is only gonna get like more competitive as you know, even the newcomer teams, like they're getting, even if they do like maybe they'll have a disappointing run of it, but they'll gain the experience for the coaches, and like just having the experience of being in EuroBowl, facing off against, you know, the best of the best that other countries can offer. And like even if you lose all of your games, right, and you personally or otherwise have a disappointing run, the experience for if you get there the next time, like you'll do better, and it's more valuable than gold when it comes to like Blood Bowl success, I think.
Yeah, that's just being in the room previously makes such a difference, because next time you go in and just everything's just a bit slower, a bit more natural.
Mm.
You just have a bit more time to sort of look around, and you know, you're just it feels like home as opposed to being a sort of a brand new crazy environment. So yeah, that experience does count for a lot.
Mm. But yeah.
Yeah, yet to look obviously in super detail, because obviously the NAF results aren't up there. One of the things that really stands out to me in that tour play bit there at the end of it, if you look at France's win draw losses, yeah, fantastic, right, as you'd expect from the eventual champion. Look at the casualty differential between them and Spain in turn 3. So that shows the difference of how countries have gone around building their bits, and
Yeah.
then put decent coaches on them as well. And that's brilliant, I think, right? It would be really, really. I know during the cycle, the rule set got a bit of pillorying, certainly from our shores at times. You can certainly see the differences which were there, I think, in terms of builds and nations as well. And that's great, right? Variety is marvelous.
Yeah.
Variety is marvelous. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
many
no,
congrats.
no, yeah, and absolutely, it's like the fact that there are so many sort of different mentalities or ethos that like these national teams like play Blood Bowl with, and like as we said, like Team Spain likes to go for that aggressive, volatile like play style. In comparison, like when you compare that to Team France, like who's very, I feel Team France was. I mean, Team France. I think like this year, like they had some. Like they were one of the few who brought in like Dark Elves, for example, or like I believe they also had Chaos Pact among them as well. So like they had a couple of those off like teams that were not considered meta, and they still did very well in the sense of like it's not. There's definitely been other hobbies where I've witnessed where there's been like only a few quote unquote correct or optimal ways of gaming the system, right? That and if you didn't stick to those ways, then you were being non-competitive because of whatever reason, right? In EuroBowl,
Yeah,
that's like the varieties here, and the variety is very competitive. Like,
yeah, there are lots of different styles. I mean, Pete had Ripper Bulgur, right? He and in the last game, I had the pleasure of watching Ripper score a touchdown because Pete had sort of pushed a goblin forward who had the other guy played really well, managed to get a blitzer free, killed the goblin. Ball was on the floor, blitzer was next to it. Pete then countered with his own sort of chain push, got Ripper free. He blitzed the blitzer, took it off the pitch, picked the ball up, and next turn scored. So you know, you don't need a gutter runner to score a touchdown. You can get Ripper to do it.
Strength 6 troll to do it instead.
Uh,
Yeah, this is it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the French, with the amount that certainly I personally have travelled this year, I've seen them at Tillian, Lutece play around with lots of different rosters. Always agency heavy. I don't know if they took all 4 L's in the end, but they definitely obviously had vampires in that 8 as well. There. But they had their adversity during the year, right? They lost to our TNT guys in out in Tillian when we played them, but then they rebounded at Lutece with a win there, and that's part of the process of these EuroBOWL teams building themselves towards an event like we experienced last weekend in Budapest. It's the number of coaches and the number of options available these days means you are going to have to build yourself into that championship position. And congratulations to the French for doing that. They do deserve that.
Yeah.
Congrats. Layla Blur, I guess.
Yeah, because they had some unkind words said against them as well. I think we're all surprised that the previous 8 was, none of them were repicked.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Helborg afterwards, and you could they could theoretically sack all of the 8 winners from this time, and next year go with a Lazaz team, because they have 2 very good Lazaz open teams playing this year, and win it again. Right? They could theoretically win 3 EuroBowls in a row with 24 different players.
Yeah.
That's the strength and depth. So they took they took a bit of flack for some of the decisions they made, but in the end they believed in themselves, proved that they were up to the job, and came through with the victory.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah. And this is it. I think if you put up the open table there, if you look at the top 20 there, you've got Azaz, you've got Lutece, you've got Kokora Power, right? And I'd say for the English community, you've got 4 out of the top 12 there, hailing from our shores as well. So the strength and depth in Blood Bowl. Also right up here, we've got Team Italy, European. The Minotauri guys are obviously a really strong squad there as well. You've got a lot of the European teams that were selected by the nations up there competing. And yeah, look, we're delighted it was our weekend. The last round wasn't straightforward against the Polish guys. They put us under a fair bit of pressure, but it was our weekend. But I think the strength and depth in that top, I mean, ECBBL is the only English team that we didn't face on day 2 up there, but they came really close as well. And they've got some great players. Obviously, that's a league that Dan knows well.
Yeah, some good friends in that one, and I think Juju, who's one of the players on there, he got MVP or something, didn't he, as well? Yeah,
I think it was most touchdowns in the end, but
most touchdowns. That's right. Yeah, so he that was a fun team as well, because those guys turned up, and So Juju has very model-esque, sort of male model level, swirling golden hair, and teammate Taylor Swift also has swirling golden male model level hair.
Yeah, he's
down with beautiful locks. And then you have the captain, Phil Gunn, King Ghidra, who writes on Goonhammer for Blood Bowl, who I think best described as a very, very close cut shaved head. And so he joined in by basically wearing a wig all weekend, which looked really scratchy and hot and uncomfortable. But four gorgeous men coming in third place there. One of my regrets, actually, my I thought the tournament overall was fantastic. My single, only small, tiny criticism was that we didn't get the top three called out
Yeah.
for the European, and it would have been really good for those guys to have had their sort of third place moment,
Mm.
and then maybe a picture on stage with the top three teams. So yeah, I mean, if that's my only criticism of the tournament, right, that shows how amazing it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that there was definitely like as you know, organizers like several team people in Team Finland were taking notes and looking at things of like how things were run, and yeah, like if the things like if the like they feel like little things when you like put them in writing, but definitely in the moment, like the those sorts of things feel big, like the announcement of who got second place in Europe and who got third place in Europe, and I think. One of the comments that I saw also said that like you know they could have done more of a photo shoot with it because like there was a competition for the best painted, right, and such things. So like maybe more of a like photo shoot, like like sort of public viewing availability, I guess, is the way to like for those sorts of things. But if those are the major complaints instead of the like the place
Exactly.
was too tiny or there wasn't enough bathrooms or there wasn't like it was too hot because of X, Y, and Z things, it like it's a world of difference between those complaints and like yeah, it's I'm
I
sure.
think
Mm,
I think this was the only tournament I've been to where every round started early.
mm,
Like that's insane.
yeah, that is like that. Yeah, punctuality when it comes to like EuroBowl, like, well, not even EuroBowl, just Blood Bowl in general. Like their tournaments, like getting things to run on time is more difficult than it may sound to the layman.
Absolutely is. Yeah, completely agree. And like, how quick must the tournament go for the organizers as well, right? With all
Mm-hmm.
the of you know, we're like swanning around between rounds, having a catch up with our friends while they're working frantically to try and get the draw for the next round out.
Mm-hmm.
Must go at lightning speed for those guys. So yeah, a huge thank you to Matt and his team for running it. Huge admiration. Poland and Scotland have a tough act to follow.
I'm sure that BB Jock was also taking in notes and refining his own thoughts on the matter. And but yeah, no, this is again, it's one of those things where like this is like especially for the organizers as well, like to be able to experience a Euro Bowl before you hold one yourself is going to be a very much a learning experience. Like and like I certainly hope that the like Jock and other people on the organizing team for Scotland, like I hope that they feel comfortable enough to have had a talk with you know Matt Time Bandit and the rest of the Hungarians of like to sort of like get their like sort of specifics on things to hone the Euro Bowl experience even more.
Yeah, that's quite a common thing, and I think something which was started reasonably. I forget who exactly started it, but this idea of having, you know, the last two or three hosts as a sort of a mini support group for the current host to sort
Mm,
of give them the benefit of their wisdom of you know everything that they've learned to really make sure that all of those learning experiences follow through.
mm.
So yeah, no doubt Matt will be able to add his learnings into the mix, and yeah, share some of his success.
Mm. All
Yeah,
right.
I think for obviously an event of that size, you're talking nearly 1,000 people now,
Mm.
right? To run with no time delays, no no issues as far as recording of results or being able to process them through, particularly as they were using two different types between the open and the bowl as well,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm.
That could have
Yeah.
absolutely fallen there if they weren't on top of it. And look, I caught up with him numerous times during the weekend. He was very hospitable to us as a team, as well as Maria and so on, trying to give her everything she needs to cover the event. They did a fantastic job. They should be applauded for it. I do hope he's getting some time off as well, because I would imagine once it's done, the relief and indeed the the need to rest must be quite large. But no, they ran a great event, and kudos to them. I would certainly go back to Budapest for the Blood Bowl in the future as a result. Definitely.
The championship rings as a prize for the winner. That was really good. I'm actually gonna
So I mean, obviously, the award ceremonies are a bit of a blur, I suppose, to a degree, right? But when they had us up on stage to lift the trophy in the first place, it wasn't until we kind of got back to the rest of the team in the crowd that I was thinking, there's only one trophy in this. There's there's five of us, right? We're down as well. It would have been nice to maybe we'll pass it around. And then within 5 minutes, they had us up on stage and gave us not just championship rings, but the reason for the delay was they'd actually had them all engraved with our NAF numbers between the end of the round and the presentation. So just little touches like that are fantastic, right? It's lovely if it's your weekend in the sun, but whether that was us receiving it, whoever received that weekend was going to enjoy it. And at least the next time I play Borpeth from Kokorapow now, as he was using his EUROBOWL Championship ring as a turn counter, I will be doing the same.
Absolutely, flex it.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, so Gav Coleman's put in some really good suggestions for the upcoming EUROBOWL captains meeting around some standardization of prizes and things like that, which is really good. And yeah, I'm sort of I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to jump in on that and suggest that we do championship rings from for future winners as well, because I think it's a really good I think it's a really good prize, and as you say, the personalization of the having your on it too is just makes all the difference. Yeah, so just another tiny detail that Matt got absolutely spot on.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. It gives it makes the win feel just that little bit more tangential to everybody who was part of the team, right? To get that personal trophy, even if it's it's not the big trophy, obviously, but it will just make you remember it that much more fondly, I'm sure.
I think so, right? I mean, anyone. I mean, I play individual Blood Bowl, but increasingly, I really only play team events. Certainly, I would travel abroad only for team events, because the experience you share with those people on your team, part of your team that weekend, is something that obviously you would cherish going forward, win or lose. So any memento of that, however crazy it is to give out championship rings for Blood Bowl, but it's something that I can obviously look at in future and remember the weekend I had, not just with the other guys on the team, but obviously with us as a squad as a whole. The 14 of us had a great time this year, so it's nice to celebrate that and have a memento of it, definitely.
Yeah, especially for those for whom the weekend might be even more blurry than what you said about the award ceremony, due to potentially some substances that may have been enjoyed in the meanwhile. Having that physical memento could jog the memory somewhat.
We won't talk about trying to get Chris home.
I got home, and it's a miracle that this ring made it home with me as well, to be honest. There we are. You have to enjoy every part of Travel Blood Bowl, and we're getting there on the pitch at times, but certainly the bit that's done afterwards, I've always been very good at. So we enjoy ourselves there. You need to come to Finland and get that done, you see.
But I think with that, I mean, the sort of final topic that I often bring up is essentially just thoughts and feelings after the tournament. But we fairly well covered that. Is there any like particular changes to the future when it comes to Team England for the national team and the Europe? And though then you consider that to be the one and the same team. So like, is there any particular future changes that's going to be coming in or do you think that you've found yourself like the formula that you want to keep using on going forward?
So we elect a new captain every year. So ultimately, the new captain can sort of decide how they want to run it. It's kind of their show. They get the choice of doing it. So they have that freedom. I'm going to stand again for captain next year. I think I've got a little bit of unfinished business in the bowl side of things. And also, I think we've made some really good strides this year in terms of opening up the community, starting a Team England Discord. Anyone can join. It's not just for English people. Anyone can join, but really helping to cement some of that work that we've done sort of post-COVID of trying to bring a lot more people together into a single place and really push the enjoyment of the competitive Blood Bowl scene. So if I'm unsuccessful, I would hope that whoever takes it on will continue in that vein. But we will see. I think something is going out tomorrow from Purple Goo with a schedule of what that election timelines look like. So yeah, who knows? Could be anything.
I think as well, right? It's and I speak for all of us. I think we've all really enjoyed representing our community this year, win or lose. So ultimately, things that Dan has put in place, like the Discord, like trying to take us out on tour, whether online or not, and being around places. You got to remember, yes, we get to have the fun at the weekend, but we are the ones who are the lucky ones who get to actually be out there playing this silly game and doing it with obviously, hopefully, the community front and center of that as well. So yeah, look, we're blessed in England of having huge numbers and huge number of committed individuals and being able to play whenever you feel like it. But I think if we continue the job of coming together as a community and hopefully supporting each other, then the kind of results that we're now seeing on whether it's in the Open or obviously this year's bowl team, can only become more and more consistent as the quality of Blood Bowl and the number of coaches playing international Blood Bowl increases, right? And that's what we all want to see. It's a beautiful party in that regard. So yes, a lot of fun this year. Next play, let's go.
And speaking of the next play, not specifically EuroBowl or Euro Open this time. If there's any sort of upcoming tournament that you wish to sort of get more out there for people to know and particular, but possibly participate in, English language hard sometimes. Feel free to give a shout out here.
Yeah, I think well, again, we're lucky that obviously Blood Bowl is all over England every single weekend. All I say to any of our European friends or further afield, if you haven't come to play here before, let us welcome you. And it doesn't matter if it's NAFC or Home Nations or any of these big tournaments, you will generally find a warm welcome anywhere in England. Every single weekend. So get in touch with us via the Discord or multitude of ways now that Maria's put together on social media. But we'd love to see more traveling coaches in 2026 on our shores as well. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And ask us for some recommendations because some of the best tournaments are not necessarily some of the biggest tournaments. To give you just one of many, many examples, Team England's Thulian runs a really good tournament, which isn't as well known as some of the others, but is always stacked with exceptionally good players. It's always a really good challenge. So yeah, just get in contact with us, ask for some recommendations. We'll help you with travel recommendations as well as tournament recommendations and the rest of it. And just come and join in the fun.
And to Meth in the chat, do feel free. I appreciate the Instagram Blood Bowl Finland shout out. Certainly appreciated. And I mean, look at you guys slave driving her, like putting her like at this late an hour, putting her on the job, like just without
it's the other way around. She slave drives us. She's relentless. No, she's brilliant. She's brilliant.
This is the beauty of Blood Bowl, right? We're all nuts about a silly game that we get to play in our spare time, and the community is very, very, very lucky to have people like Maria. We are very lucky. But look, where the community breeds this kind of not obsessiveness, right? This kind of joy for spending your spare time doing this, and if that means that between us we're reaching new people that they might get to try something like this in the future or consider trying it, then job done. I think in that respect, right? Because as you said to start off with, I don't think anyone who's ever been to an event like EuroBowl comes back, even if it's been horrific on the table, and says that they wouldn't be up for going again. These are special events. Definitely.
Very much so. But with that, I think it's about time that we let people to go to sleep. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for you two for being here, and always appreciate you making the time. Again, I'm just doing this for my own pleasure rather than this being anything officially affiliated with any EuroBowl or even Team Finland in that regard. But yeah.
A pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for the invite. And, it was an awful lot of fun. Thank you.
Glad to hear.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah. Hopefully when it comes to EuroBowl Poland, I will be able to start sending out the invites for any team that wants to come in for the pre-tournament interview, for get them in more faster than I did in these 2 previous years. Give people a little bit more more time to make themselves available, I suppose, rather than going up like at the final hour and knocking on their door and going like, "Hello, would you like to just plab on up on Blood Bowl for an hour and a half?" But
Blood Bowlers love talking about Blood Bowls. So, I'm sure it is. But no, thank you very much. I've enjoyed, and I can remember the interviews last year before Greece, and enjoyed that content, and certainly this time around as well. So thank you for the effort there.
Yeah, absolutely. But with that, thank you everybody for watching. As I always say, good day, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, whatever happens to be the time of day for you. Have a good one.